Welcome to The Right Stuff from Goldspot Pens, a podcast that guides you from pen noob to aficionado in less than 20 minutes. I'm your host, Tamato. In this episode, we dip our toes and nibs into shimmery goodness with a fun swatching tool and a new glittery Goldspot-exclusive Benu fountain pen. Hang out until the end and I'll give away something on my desk. Shimmer fountain pen inks can be fun to use, making your words look angelic, glamorous, and magical on the page. They can also be a bit tricky and a pain to clean out of your pen. One of the topics I get asked about quite often is how to use shimmer ink safely so it doesn't clog your fountain pen. Thanks to a tool like this ink muddler from Dominant Industry, you can enjoy writing, drawing, and swatching shimmer ink without the risk of harming your pen. The ink muddler is made out of glass, and at first look, it is pretty small. It measures 92 millimeters length by 6 millimeter in the diameter of the shaft here, and then 10 millimeter diameter at the muddling end. The flattened muddler is kind of a multi-use tool here. So not only does it act as a roll stop, preventing your muddler from rolling off the table, but it also stirs the fountain pen ink to then get all of the shimmery sediment off of the bottom of the bottle. Plus, then it's also used as a swatching tool. So you could actually rub that end that you use to stir the ink with and then put it on your paper to create a broad swatch of ink on the page, which is rare because usually when you see a dip pen, the dip pen pretty much has one speed. It's whatever point that the nib writes with. So with the exception for the Kakamori dip nib, which I know has like the longer side that you could kind of swatch on, but for the most part though, any dip nib that's a steel nib or a glass dip nib pen just basically has the one speed that you write with. And speaking of the writing experience, the spiral grooved writing end holds enough ink that you could write comfortably with it for a sentence or two before it starts to fade out. Then you would have to go in for another dip. You could write it completely dry if you start to kind of angle it so you could get the remaining ink in all the channels, but it pretty much works the best if you go very perpendicular to the table. So to whatever the writing surface that you're writing on, if you go perpendicular as much as possible, then it will be the smoothest, but it will be pretty darn scratchy if you do try to get on the side and get the last bit of ink out of there. And for $15, this petite glass dip pen can be a useful companion to take with you to pen shows or pen meets where there might be some interesting inks to sample. And just note, when you're switching from one ink to another, if you're swatching multiple inks at the same time, it is pretty easy to wipe down the muddling part and the holder part of this dip pen, but when it comes to the spiral end that you would write with, it doesn't really wipe off. You'd really have to dip it in some water just to be able to loosen up the ink that gets trapped in the channels there. So then you could ink it up and try a different color and so on and so forth. But definitely have a little cup of water nearby to switch out the, or at least to rinse out your pen between inking different colors. So for testing out the ink muddler, I tried a few different inks that had some shimmer in it, one of which is a new ink by Waringyul, which is Pinocchio. It's a really nice light pastel green with some blue shading and gold shimmer. I tried to write as much as I possibly could with this before it finally gave out, and then trying to do the different angles to write with, and it worked out pretty well. I mean, there's been a lot of times when I've written with other dip nibs that only maybe last a word or two before you have to go in for another dip, but this could last about a sentence or so. I also tried Ferris Wheel Press Radiant Rosewing, which is a light sakura type pink color with some rose gold shimmer that's here, and it is a very nice light pink. I also tried the ink muddler with a taller bottle of ink in the Diamine Shimmertastic 50 ml bottle of ink in pink champagne. This does reach all the way to the bottom when you're stirring the ink, although it is kind of a little bit tough to get the muddler out there, especially if you're just holding it by the very tip and trying to stir it. So it does work better, I feel, for bottles that are a little more squat and have a wider mouth. So it does work for a majority, I think, of different ink bottles, although the ones that are tall and narrow with a small opening might be a little bit more difficult to do your stirring with. Although you could then, in theory, pour out some of the ink in, let's say, an ink miser or a little watercolor tray if you'd like to, and then stir it that way. But this is pretty fun, and I think lends itself well to trying out a bunch of shimmer inks and playing with shimmer inks without needing to put your pens in harm's way. And I've swatched these inks in a Maruman A6 Daily, what we call Stargazer notebook, which is a Goldspot-exclusive. The cover was actually designed by Chris. It's a nice little dreamy cover. It's got some clouds, some stars, a little crescent moon on there. And this is made by the Japanese notebook maker Maruman, who is known for producing very quality type of notebooks with fountain pen ink friendly paper. As you can see with the swatch samples that we've done here, that the ink really doesn't bleed through or even really show through for that part throughout the entire page. So I've been using it a lot lately for writing samples and using for short videos as well. You could cleanly tear out the pages using the micro perforations on each page. So that way you could, let's say, swatch an ink and then put it in a collection of swatch pages if you'd like to, or if you could use it as a daily to-do list, and then once you're done with your list, you could remove the page and start a new day. Each page has a date and subject header with dotted lines and hash mark column dividers. This notebook sells on the Goldspot website for $7.95 for 50 wire-bound sheets. It is also, thanks to National Notebook Day, which is coming up, free with purchase of $149 or more while supplies last. So if you add to goldspot.com your cart, add to $149 or more, this will automatically get added for free, of course, while supplies last. The Diamine Pink Champagne or the Ferris Wheel Press Radiant Rosewing might be a great combination with our new bubbly Benu Euphoria Pink Champagne fountain pen launching on May 14th. Inspired by the spirited Benu Euphoria designs called Vodka on the Rocks and Bourbon, Goldspot collaborated with Benu to create a new intoxicating color in pink champagne. The effervescent pen design has a sparkling shine that never goes flat. The faceted barrel and cap highlight the lively colors and shimmer of this custom crafted resin. A silver rocker-style pocket clip and silver-filled Benu logo on the cap band match the stainless steel number 6 size Schmidt nib available in point sizes fine, medium, or broad. The Euphoria Pink Champagne fills using either an international ink cartridge or filling it up with bottled ink using a converter. If you're planning on using shimmer ink with this pen, I'd recommend using a medium or broad nib for better flow and for a thicker line to appreciate the shimmery goodness on paper. The Benu Euphoria Pink Champagne will be available exclusively at goldspot.com for $157. It is not numbered or limited, but it will be awesome and it will be yours if you decide to jump on this pen. So maybe sparkles aren't your style, but you do love a colorful pen. Meet the Diplomat Funky Traveler, a pen with vibrant, idiosyncratic style. The Traveler is a slim, metal-bodied pen, which is not something you see too often outside the traditional Cross Classic Century or Waterman Hemisphere pens. Each of the 4 color designs have a multi-chromatic shading that shifts when you turn it in the light. There is Funky Blue, which has a violet shine. There's Funky Fuchsia, which has a bluish tint. Funky Petrol reflects teal and pink. And Funky Green has a lime green base with turquoise highlights. The slim, streamlined, tapered, cylindrical body of the Traveler makes it a worthy writing companion. Pull off the snap cap to jot notes on the go, or you could use the click action retractable ballpoint for quick draw access. To best fit your writing flow, the Traveler is available as a fountain pen with a stainless steel nib, a capped rollerball, or a retractable ballpoint pen. The fountain pen uses an international style cartridge or converter, of which one international cartridge is included to start. The rollerball uses a standard G2 refill, and the ballpoint has a P900 Easy Flow cartridge, which is a Parker style compatible. The Traveler is packaged in a simple paperboard black gift box with a magnetic flap and includes a groovy 5-year warranty. The Diplomat Funky Traveler starts at $84 for a ballpoint, $88 for a rollerball, and $92 for a fountain pen. Now we've graduated to the question of the week from Amber Unfinished, who writes, "Hi Tom, my question is, with graduation right around the corner, what would be your suggestion or choices for a graduation gift out of all the items you have in stock?" May and June are the biggest months for graduations, and pens make wonderful gifts to celebrate these life milestones. Why? Because they're practical, sophisticated, and symbolic. A pen encourages the graduate to become the author of their lives as they take the next big step. There are thousands, literally thousands of pens on the Goldspot website, which can be extremely overwhelming to find the perfect gift. To narrow things down, our team handpicked about 200 items ranging from $10 to $800. Plus, I wrote a guide to highlight my top 10 picks, which I'll link in the video description. From that list, I'll show you 3 pens that will outlast your student loans. Founded in 1948, the Fisher Space Pen Company continues to accompany astronauts in space with their patented pressurized refill technology. Featured in the Metropolitan Museum of Art's permanent collection and on an episode of 90s sitcom Seinfeld, the Bullet Pen is a practical and elegant ballpoint pen that starts at $34. One of our everyday bestsellers, the Retro 51 Tornado, was originally introduced in 1997 and continues to expand with new designs and themes to delight writers of all professions and interests. Example, I love my pizza pen and I love my pizza. This Retro 51 pizza pen reminds me of the graphics you find on a pizza box. There are also history-themed retros, STEM-themed retros, aviation, aerospace, classic literature, art, and so on. So starting for $28 for a classic plain lacquered Tornado rollerball pen that you could opt to engrave with your graduate's name, class of 2024, or just simply congratulations, a Retro 51 Tornado can be a great, long-lasting gift that your graduate will enjoy for a very long time. If you could write with only one fountain pen for the rest of your life, it might be a Lamy 2000. This pen has GOAT status. It definitely does. I've raved about this pen before multiple times on videos. I'll probably put a video you could watch in the card that's included in the video here. This Lamy 2000 is a pen that definitely a graduate would enjoy, I feel, of any year that graduates. It was designed originally in 1966, so you know it's been around for a while and it has staying power. It's a pen that's ahead of its time, and you know, it looks like it came from a future that has flying cars and lunar colonies that we were all promised from pulp magazines way back in the day. Its lightweight Makrolon body has a pleasant brush texture, and the shape and design of it is just so comfortable to hold, even with the cap posted, with which I'm a big poster of caps. I like posting my caps, and the balance and feel of it with the cap posted is just almost second to none. The hooded 14 karat gold nib just writes beautifully smooth, and it fills using a piston fill mechanism, which has an ink window that's not really the most usable or visible ink window, but at least lets you know a little bit of ink is left in your pen. And on top of that, the hooded nib has the advantage of being able to get down really deep into that bottle. So if you only have just a very small amount of ink left, this is one of the best pens to get just that last drop of ink that's on there. And the push cap that slips on and grafts nicely to the barrel of the pen here is just very pleasant and very smooth to operate. And it also has a hinged spring-loaded clip that is easy, and we actually mentioned this clip on one of our most recent videos about the best pen clips, and it's just very easy to attach and disengage from pen loops and clothing. As with the Fisher Space Pen and the Retro 51 pen, The Lamy 2000 can also be engraved too if you'd like to engrave it with, let's say, initials. It can be engraved on the clip here. Now, the three options I mentioned, the 2000 is the most expensive in fountain pen mode. It is $223.20, but it is also available in ballpoint, pencil, multi-pen, and a rollerball mode. Congrats go to Amber Unfinished for being picked as the question of the week. You've won the Opus 88 whale fountain pen I mentioned in the previous episode. Email me at tom@goldspot.com to claim your prize. For this week's giveaway, we have a Platinum Plaisir black fountain pen up for grabs. To enter, you must be subscribed to the Goldspot Pens channel, like this video, and leave a comment with a question you'd like for me to answer in a future episode. If I answer your question of the week, you win. If you'd like to see me write with the pens mentioned in this week's episode, you could check out Goldspot Pens YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, and TikToks for writing samples. Thank you for checking out this week's episode of the Write Stuff podcast by Goldspot Pens. Now, go out there, put your pen to paper, and write stuff. Until next time, stay inky, my friends. Take care.